Microphone check, 1, 2, what is this? It's the 5'7" assassin in the podcast business. I am your host, Rohan Patra, the rap music plug at your service.
Here we are again at the end of a rainbow.
The Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV is the remedy to the I don't have anything good to listen to problem. Through in-depth album and song reviews, as well as artist interviews and general rap commentary sprinkled in between on all of what the mainstream and underground rap scenes have to offer, this is your one-stop shop to knowing what to add to your queue, play next, or pop into your record player. Welcome to the show. What is up, family? Today I'm joined with one of the most fascinating artists in the underground right now. This is a guy who's been honestly buzzing, and his buzz has never been bigger until right now, having just signed to a label, recently dropping countless quality projects over the past year with the likes of Ohbliv, Al.divino, and more. He's also a very famed car enthusiast and generally seems like a cool-ass dude that I'm just really looking forward to chop it up with. I'm pleased to welcome DMV's Rahiem Supreme to the show. How you doing, man?
Doing good. What it do?
You've been really killing it, and honestly, like I feel like I was pretty late to the party. It was I think it was Splash Bandicoot that like made a pun intended like huge splash that caught a lot of people's eyes. And from then on, I've just gone back into your catalog, and it's to say you're prolific. You've dropped a lot of music is kind of an understatement. For those that are unaware, you've had multiple years where you've dropped 10, like at least 5 projects, like multiple years. So, and last year being one of them, which was a pretty great year for you. And so I want to start off by saying like, congratulations on the new label signing. That's huge.
Thank you.
And I'm just curious, like, did you ever think, like, let's say 2017, 2016, that you even be in a position where you could sign with a label, or would you think it like was too far-fetched to even like imagine?
For doing this thing since like 2010, 11, after my first project, it kind of had a lot of momentum, but we didn't know what to do as far as like, marketing and all that stuff. We kind of just threw it out there and it got a reception that we never thought. So we didn't know what to do after that. We didn't know about campaigns and reaching out to certain situations to make, stuff look more organized. So like pretty much after my first tape, I felt like I was already supposed to be, you know what I'm saying? Because that was around the time Joey Badass, ASAP Rocky, Creative Control, Currency with 2011, I felt like I was supposed to, you know what I'm saying? So when 2013 hit and I was like, damn, this shit is more than just whatever, I was just like, well, I guess I gotta keep just putting shit out and hoping and keeping that hunger and that love for the, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Doing it for that aspect to keep that battery going type shit. So I won't be doing it for nothing else. But yeah, definitely feel like pretty much anything overdue whenever it comes, because I just feel like I'm just as good or better or just deserve, you know what I'm saying, type shit. Excuse my language.
No, you can swear and say whatever you want. But yeah, no, I know, I feel that. And I'm just curious, like, was there a particular like tweak you did to like, I don't know, like the marketing side of things, or just like how you've been creating music that you feel like made a difference? Or was it just pure like you're grinding and just accumulation of all that work has kind of paid off recently?
I think accumulation and particular moves that I made with certain individuals sometimes. So both things kind of play a part with that type of thing as far as like momentum and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And so like what kind of details can you give us on this like label signing, like who's it with and all that, if you can at all?
Okay. I just had a meeting with them. So it's a situation where like I was assuming the whole nine of how like every other one was ran in situations, but they wanted to do something where it ain't any constraints on me because of the volume of how much I produce. So it
Mm-hmm.
was more like whatever I pitch and they like, they'll, stand behind that and push that at the best of their ability. But if it's something where it's like they tied up with other people or they might not fully like, you know what I'm saying, type
Mm-hmm.
situations, I can present it to a whole nother label, corporation, different people. Sort of like, how Wu-Tang, how like every artist was dealing with a whole different situation and they still had rollouts. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
kind of comparing it to that where like definitely expect not just them with rollouts and projects. It'll be rollouts with other, label corporations, and sometimes it might not be nobody, just me. And then them when they like, like a specific album and stuff like that. So they gave me the freedom to still be, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's one of them situations.
Well, that's good. I mean, it seems like it plays to your strength. You don't want to like all of a sudden like change up your style where you're getting all rigid because that's one of your that's honestly the next thing I want to talk about is like your style is the opposite of rigid and like in a box and like consistent. And I mean that in a positive way. Like you've
Yeah,
made a name for, being eccentric, having a style that's like incredibly distinct that and instantly recognizable. And I'm just curious, like, did you like set out even back like 2011 when you really got started to be like, oh, I'm gonna be a rapper that's like different. Like I'm trying to carve out something that no one else can do, or did you just kind of follow what you like naturally?
it's like a mix of everything. I didn't know the sound I'm at now. I didn't know I was gonna be here. It always been being before rap, like just regular life type shit, people that see me around, stuff like that. I was always the type, like I'm pretty sure anybody that like on a individual type shit, just trend setting and wearing different shit or shit they be confused at, might joke on it, and then when they see everybody doing it, then they like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
now they copying it, or they like, dang, you got people doing this and doing that. So it was like a lot of that was going on. The car shit was going on before I was 20 years old. Like a lot of shit was kind of before me kind of like making a sound for myself, even though I had the essence of, them type of sounds and that upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
But I never was scared to try different shit as well, because I never wanted to be put in a place or felt like, okay, if this is working for me, let me just make shit like this, which I respect from anybody that's doing them, because that's what make us who we are.
Mm-hmm.
But in my head, in my realm, I always was like, I'm gonna be like some hybrid version of like do some more like, you know what I'm saying, showcase like the whole shit, you know what I'm saying, and being in my own way to make people more comfortable to being themselves. So whether I'm wearing some belligerent shit or my visual look belligerent or my music sound belligerent, it's more than just a message in the music. It's like a whole, like if it's as if you watching like Rick James and Prince and you kind of looking at them kind of crazy because you like, why are you looking like this? And but it's like, no, you gotta kind of look deeper into it psychologically, visually, and sonically. So like visually, they're trying to let you know how comfortable they are type shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like studying them musicians and stuff like that kind of made me sit back with myself, like, okay, these are the things I'm trying to like represent for the listener type shit.
No, I like that. And I like I think there's a saying, I might be butchering it honestly, but I think it's like there's a message in the medium or the medium is the message, where it's like the
Right.
way that someone communicates something is a message, let alone what
Right.
they're actually saying with their words or like like whatever shit. So
Right.
that's definitely very consistent with that.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah.
And
That's I'm morphing into a lot more and more as I, progress.
mhm.
Uh,
And you said in a previous interview, I think it was with the Crate Dig. Like you said this years back that like since you're a Leo, like I like the quote you said, you over manipulate your creativity and are generally kind of a moody person. And
mhm.
I mean, as soon as I heard that, I was like, damn, that makes so much sense because if anybody isn't familiar, just taking like your 2021 catalog, there every single album has a really distinct vibe, but it's still you. It doesn't feel like you're like jacking a style here, but it's just really you. But they are
Mm-hmm.
very distinct in like the vibe, even the content. Like I know Fly Metaphysics was a lot more of like a introspective, like a lot more heady, and then like Splash Bandicoot is just like wild and nutty. Like
Mm-hmm.
Black Keys is more like, like cool and like the swag and like that kind of vibe. Like I just find that really interesting. So like, do you think this moodiness kind of like unlocks this versatility in your music that maybe other artists can't really like fuck with?
Yeah, and being a student, um, I'll be a fan of a lot of music, whether I might not like some or not, but I'm so open to like listening to people's cadences and all that type of stuff from old to new and knowing what I could do and what I can't do. So then it's like when I listen to the stuff I get on and when I get beats sent to me and when I'm searching for samples and stuff like that, I kind of already play with my voice since, the beginning of
Mm-hmm.
time. And then my voice changed over time. So I know what I would actually sound good on. So when my moods is changing, whether what's going on in my life in that particular time and I'm making that project, I kind of know what I sound good on, if that makes sense. You know how some people they'll get on something, it sound forced, whether they're
Mm-hmm.
copying the style or not, but they breathing technique ain't on point. They all everything just not on point. Like you can hear it, it just sound
Yeah.
forceful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So with me, I know what I can sound, I know what I'm gonna sound good on. So like me being experimental, me listening not just rap music and listening to soul music and singers and rock music, all that stuff, it's me morphing all of that with my own shit and then like splashing that shit on the song type shit. And
Yeah.
that's kind of I was like, okay, see, everybody got something that somebody else ain't got. And I started noticing like, oh no, okay, see, I got some shit. Okay, bet. So that's when you hear me, I'm splashing on the verse, and I might get to harmonize on the hook or something. Or the verse, shit, my verses, you hear different voice tones throughout the verse. Like I'm using my voice as an instrument. I listen to like you listen to Rahiem, Slick Rick,
I think of Danny Brown too when I think of that shit. When you're talking about the
Danny
voices,
Brown.
like he got his like
Yeah,
crazy hype one, and then he got like the more serious lower tone. Yeah.
right. That shit like that. You go in story mode. You might be playing three different people. You gotta change your voice when you playing whatever person throughout that verse. You know what I'm saying? But not too many people that could do that. Not to not throw any shade, but you know how like any guy just be rap. It could be any joint. It could be like a cadence, and it's an avatar or a key, and it's like you pressing that key.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you got some people, it's like they pressing different keys. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? They Ghostface killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just using my, you got something, you're gonna use it. Like you gonna use it, you're gonna lose it.
Yeah. And like the fact that you're saying you're really like you really feel comfortable in yourself. Like that allows you, I'm sure, to kind of experiment where others might be a little more like, yo, I don't know if this is gonna sound good, or like I feel like people are gonna like it's a confidence thing and they may just kind of not venture outside of their comfort zone. And
Mm-hmm.
and I respect that in a sense, but like it is kind of limiting if you can't get over that or overcome it. Like when it comes to like artistically. Um, and you're talking about Rick James and like Prince. I think you mentioned like that I love how you mentioned that because that's really a key thing I get from your music. Like you bring this like vintage flavor, and particular to like I know we can get into other things, but just like from the MCing standpoint, like the performance standpoint, like you got that like out of control flow, and yeah, you got the eccentric beat selection, but it's a style I find that like harkens back to those old school golden age MCs where like they would be like moving the crowd like a true master of ceremonies. Like
Right.
that was like hip hop was born out of like the party scene. Like that was a huge emphasis. Um, and I'm curious, like, are there any like particular old school MCs that like really inspired you, or and just generally, do you like really try to put a particular emphasis on like performing your songs well, let alone like writing good lyrics?
Oh yeah. I don't perform over words. I perform with live bands sometimes. Um I pay attention to eye contact in the crowd. I look for stuff to stand on. I look for stuff to walk through. Band practice, sound check, stuff like that, knowing what flows, so stuff energy don't be off or dull. I wear different things, not as y'all can see on visuals and stuff, but definitely shows as well. Watching KRS-One interviews and stuff like that, the more shit you wearing, the more it look like by the end of the show and you dripping in sweat, then you could be bare down in your t-shirt, but like you kind of want to come in there with like shield shades and gloves and jackets and hats and like this is like not to be like on the wrestling shit, but like like entertainment type shit. This is entertainment. You want to come down the rafters like Sting with a trench coat on the back, it's like you're gonna have. If you showing craftsmanship from performance standpoint, it's like you gotta really take it to those places. So yeah, that and yeah, 90s rappers, 80s rappers, pretty much like everybody else who they listen to is like who I study. And the older I get, I kind of listen to more people further back because it just sounds different to me and my understanding of where I'm at in life. It seemed a little corny when I was younger because I didn't know, but I'm listening to them a lot more, and it's making me tap into myself more as far as like I was mentioning Rick James, Princes, and like Slick Ricks and Cool G Raps and Run BMC and Houdini and all those people, because when I watched those videos, it was big budgets in the 90s too, but the 80s I'll notice that they might not had the budget like the 90s just yet. So I'm like, dang, that took a lot more thought as well than the beats. I'm like, the beats is like, y'all had to probably play this throughout the whole entire 3-4 minutes. Y'all probably didn't loop stuff. So I'm like sitting there listening, watching the video. I'm like, oh no, they different. And then like Houdini and all them, it was like they storytelling just like any generation after that. So it's just as relevant, even though you could tell that it was made 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But the subject matter is exactly the same. So I'm like, I kind of been like heavily, that's why you kind of be seeing my shit like morph out how I be morphing, because I'm like, okay, I see how they doing the shit. It's like they kind of like I was saying, Rick James and Princeton and Houdini is like they projecting it visually and sonically, because the outfits you be like, wait, what? then then you like keep playing songs back and then dissecting your head. Then you go back watch it. You like, oh, I was like, okay, I see what's going on here.
Yeah.
So that's yeah.
And like it's somewhat related to this topic, but not really. It's more of, and it's not really even a question, it's just like a comment. But like as I was kind of like really getting into your catalog over the past few weeks, I was really kind of like struck by the fact that you're one of the few MCs in the underground. Like when I'm thinking about who's really popping, making a name for themselves, that actually makes music that's like really appealing to like it has like a music that you could play with women. Like it's like music with like women as the content, as like the subject matter. And it's like, man, I wish more people did that in the underground, because like all you can really like hip hop is a lot more like you just have to listen to the mainstream guys to get any kind of content like that. And it's like obviously I love mainstream music too, but nothing like the way you do it is fucking just fly. And it's that old school flavor. It's like that, yeah, like that Prince, Rick James shit. Like that's it's a different beast that I don't think a lot of people are even trying to touch.
Yeah, no, I respect that. I totally get it. I mean, like I said, some people might not do it comfortable, or they do like, okay, this is analytically giving me positive with, social media metrics and finances and opportunities. I totally respect them, but it's like it gives me more space to really be doing me. I would like to see more people do it, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I just know I could use it. So I'm like, I'm not gonna wait, because it's been a time I stopped doing melodies and shit, and then not too long ago I was like, hold up, nah, let me get back in my bag, because like the beats and stuff, I'm like, I know I could lace up a hook and make it sound real, real sweet, you know what I'm saying, wordy or catchy and all that, but I'm like, all right, let me bounce back and forth from like just rapping the hook and like harmonizing hooks, and on some Max B, it's like a new version of like all the, you know what I'm
That's true.
saying?
That's a nice comparison, Max B. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where
Yeah.
I'm at. I'm trying to take this shit to the next level for real. Hoping this shit can really take me, you feel me, somewhere, because I'm definitely tapping into that realm a lot more as of now, for sure. On some like chemist, scientist type shit.
Yeah, and I think like I want to see more, just even like the ladies' content aside, just like the melodies more. I feel like that is a part that we're starting to see more of, like pretty like quote unquote lyrical underground MCs, or like I think of SD Knack, and I know obviously you've collabed with him a bunch of times. He has that fucking like weird ass
Yeah,
way of singing that it just works. It works.
yeah, like, he be harmonizing too. His shit be sounding fire too.
Yeah, yeah, he's yeah. I love the way he does that. And when when people think of you as an artist, because of kind of like all of the like the work you've put out, we still don't even just think of you as like just like your music. Like we think of the fashion, we think of the visuals, we think of like that like Mr. Good looking ladies man swag shit. You're
Yeah,
whipped, you're Betty, right? Betty, you're tricked
yeah.
out to Nissan. Um, why do you think you've like why have you put so much importance on cultivating like the other non-music elements, like the aesthetic, the branding behind that, and it keeps like that vintage style? Why has that been such a like important focal point to your craft?
Um, I just feel like as time goes, I can't never do the same thing. That's kind of probably what, maybe that's the reason why the music kind of be so many different sounds and trying different stuff. But like after a while, I be feeling like I could be doing more, or I could be doing something that could contribute to my passions with other people, or something that can contribute to what I'm doing outside of rapping type shit. So like fashion, cars, different things, revolving around culture, it still will, you know, connect to the music, and then it'll help me out because I ain't gotta always feel like I got stuff music in people's mouth. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the reasons. And it was like another reason was like I really need to showcase everything I do naturally. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
say, a lot of people fake stuff. A lot of people hold junk be them talking about somebody else's life, or a lot of people like the story goes on. So I'm just like, I'll be crazy if I don't show these things, because it actually is going to help or bring more attention to them, or open up a community of people that I didn't even know I had or can reach out to grab if I don't show these things I'm into. I'm a hoarder collecting old vintage things. I not
Mm.
even cars. I collect old ass games and shit. I gotta take my PS2 to the game store now because the lens
Oh
is different.
shit.
Right, because my Gran Turismo 4 won't work, but all my other ones work. Like I want Pokemon, anything that got like a history behind it, and I could pass it down to a child, or it means something to me and bring memories and stuff, and the
Mm-hmm.
craftsmanship of how it was built. I'm a fan of those things, whether it's a vehicle or clothes, or like I pay attention to detail, art, like all that type of stuff. So I feel like working with women is easier than men. Men, we kind of be on some wrestler who gonna jump off the turnbuckle, leg drop somebody first. Everybody want to be better than, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so you see me do a lot of stuff with women. One, because they really creative and I ain't got to deal with like testosterone back and forth thing. And
Mm.
then two, it's beautiful looking women and all that. And then I'm open, and I have an understanding of different types of women. So I don't always want to look for like, oh, the girl with the big,
Yeah.
titties. Like I like big women, I like small women. Every woman got beauty to them type shit. So like before all the fake, no, I don't want to get on that, but before all the enhancement,
Mm-hmm.
it was very natural, beautiful women in videos, 90s down. So like when you see me do these shoots and stuff, not only these are people that I know, or sometimes I don't know them super personally yet. We just had a conversation like me and you,
Mm.
and we kind of was connecting. And then we created after that. So that's why you
Yeah.
see different shapes, different, you know, might be a girl from the islands, might be like I'm giving you different flavors from the
Mm-hmm.
women to clothes to the content. It's like, because it's different flavors. You gotta have different flavors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it's like a whole ass experience. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And like were you always like this when you kind of grew up in terms of like just being so comfortable with like yourself, or was it were like growing up, did you always kind of like know you were like this and you were proud of it and it was like easy for you, or was there kind of like a growing pains as it relates to kind of like your confidence in like all these ways?
No, I always was like this. My father died at an early age. Well, when I was at an early age, going
Mm.
on 13. So like I kind of was a little hard headed after that because there wasn't no man around. You know what I mean? My mom got a husband after that, but you know, ain't nothing like you. I mean,
Yeah.
that's your, you gonna treat them like your dad from that point on, but you know how it be.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just was out here just doing what I wanted to do. So it kind of helped me. It ain't hurt me in a way, but at the same time, it's being outside and being around people, being around family members, and just soaking in and hanging out and experiencing and seeing things. Some stuff might not have been good at times, but like just soaking in kind of shaped me who I am today, in a sense. So like, but definitely confidence and wearing, doing things like that sit in my chest that I fully feel comfortable doing or daring to do was a thing that always been me. Like whether somebody make fun of me or not, like I wake up like that. I wake up be like, no, I'm about to be like, oh, they said this,
Yeah.
or I see everybody do something, and then I'm gonna be so anti. I'm like, why everybody wanted it? I'm gonna just do it. You know what I'm saying? And then
Hmm.
I do some old belligerent, and they're like, oh, damn, that shit tight. What's that? Or something. You know what I'm saying? So that always been me. You know what I'm saying? Because I know we live in a world where it's like very like I gotta put this like simulation and brainwashing and just
Hmm.
get used to doing the algorithm read what we looking at and it start popping up on the screen all types of weird shit. So I was always a type like before all that shit was like, nah, I'm gonna do some other shit.
Mm.
Even the
And
car shit. I know everybody might. I mean, '80s dudes is on that joint because it was like one of the prominent cars back then. It wasn't a cheap car, but I know not a lot of people like pay attention to it in that type of light. So I was like, even the car thing, and it compliment me because I'm like, I could tell when I do something, I'm like, okay, this actually look good on me, or this actually match me. It don't
hmm.
look, you know what I'm saying? I really sit with myself before I like, you know how it be. You be looking at it, you like, all right, bet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. You just know sometimes.
Yeah.
And so like the album that kind of really sparked a lot of these thoughts when it comes to like how you present yourself as an artist and kind of like that golden age vintage vibe we were talking about earlier is that record with Ohbliv, Black Keys with Melodies. And
Mm-hmm.
like obviously Ohbliv is just like an insanely gifted producer who, as you anybody would expect, laced this record with just some like
That,
beautiful beats, funky, soulful. And it felt like those beats were just like tailor made for a performer like you because it had that like it brought out that cool, charismatic vibe I think you were going for. So could you explain how you and Ohbliv really like approached making this album together and what you were going for?
I reached out to him. Divino put a bug on my ass some time ago. It was like, you need to reach out to him. You need to do something with him with a blade, bro. I'm like, word. I start digging. I'm like, oh, nah, this dude stuff crazy. So then I emailed him. I didn't even think he's gonna email me back because I didn't have his direct contact.
Mm,
When I see people following and all that, I be thinking they ain't even gonna respond to me. But knowing me, I'm like, I gotta stop worrying about that because I've been in the game for 10 plus years. So even though I ain't got 20,000 verified account
mm.
and all that stuff, some people not gonna care about it because they already know the rap report and the groundwork type shit. So he one of them people, and it was more like an email thing. Um, and finished that project probably within like a week or two span, and
Damn.
pretty much at times where I take breaks or when I'm in the mood, it was at perfect timing because I start digging more into '80s sound and production or stuff that sounded in that realm that he was sending me. So it was just like, all right, bet. And I was just digging more in my charisma side because I'm noticing it's a very strong point of my style. So because I noticed like even my rhyme pattern bounce around, but
Mm,
it's still like mesh because the charisma. Because some people comfortable with cadence or they would prefer cadence. Like I need something to rhyme with that rhyme before at the ending, like after each bar, or it need to come back to that. Like, can I hear more cadence? You got people like that.
yeah.
Then you got people that understand, like, oh no, this is how these splash. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like me tapping in more on my charisma side, I'm noticing it's like shit, you really go all over the place with that shit as long as you get the emotion out and they can
Hmm.
pitch it. Like you come back to that round probably 4, 5, 6 lines later and bring the cadence line back. But it's like you really could just throw out imagery and emotion because I'm like, that's really what be mattering. Like DMX or anybody like emotion for real, for real. Like if I
Hmm.
could talk to you like a conversation, because I'm not yelling on your song. You be
Yeah.
hearing me like how we talking now.
Yeah.
So I was just okay, charisma and emotion. Because if it could sound like how we are now while they listening to it, then my job was done. So yeah, it was just that's really what how that came about though.
Yeah.
John came fire though. I'm definitely happy about it. The photo shoot for the cover, all that stuff.
Oof. Fucking
Man.
dope.
Yeah. One of
And
my wildest covers.
yeah, man, I feel like I'd be pretty interested to like hear from people that maybe only get into your music with this record, like if this was their first introduction. Because yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you really are digging into that sound. It's not like or that style, like that charisma kind of vibe. Because it's not like it's out of like left field. Like we've all heard this from you, but you really kind of like consistently brought that to another level here. And
Yeah,
I think it works super well. But I know what you
thank
mean about kind of people that sometimes just feel like, oh, like you're not rapping on beat like in the exact same way. It's not consistent. Like, why are you just like kind of like just talking? Like you hear that kind of shit. But like
you. Right.
you kind of just have to like understand, like, yeah, it's about the emotion and the vibe which like come through fully. Like, and it sounds
Listen,
great.
you even say that about a painting. Like a painting, they
Yeah.
just do whatever on the. It's like as long as you get the the message out, you know what I'm saying?
Mm,
So that would be with me, and I could do it, cadences and stuff like that, because I've been doing it for so long.
yeah.
On grandmaster level, you start kind of disrespecting physics. You start floating in the air, drunken fists. So it's like I could do it, but I ain't got so good at it. I'm like doing twirls and bite kicks, and you know what I'm saying. It's like I'm all over the place. Do 1,000 punches, 1,000 hand slaps. So it's like whatever. It's art. Like I don't think it's rules of art.
Yeah.
Man.
And uh like that what really comes through hard as you were saying about like kind of the music you were I guess like kind of inspired by and the beats that Ohbliv was giving you were more like those kind of funky 80s type, like I'll just call like vintage style kind of beats.
Mm-hmm.
um and I'm curious, like did you like what is it about that sound that you really like? Because you do kind of like dabble in this in other kind of select songs on previous albums. It's that disco kind of funk aesthetic. And so like what do you think you're drawn to so much? Like why do you like that sound so much? Because it's a pretty consistent thing I think I take from your music, especially this album.
Um, Pretty weird. How to answer this? How can I make this sound sense? I love, I love the sounds in it. I don't know the names of the instruments, but all the little all that little weird
Yeah.
ass synths. I don't know if it's synths or whatever.
I know what you're talking about. I can hear one of the beats on this album when you're
Man,
saying that. Yeah.
all that Houdini, one love, dun, 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 dun. All them fat boys in jail, all that. I'm just like, yo. And the singers from back then, Evelyn Champagne, and Rick and all them, I'm just like, the sounds in it. So if it wasn't cinematic sounding, it still sounded thought provoking because the production still sounded elite how the beat was made. So them synths was hitting hard and the bass was hitting hard. Because I guess those were the trademark in that time. So it hit just as hard as me listening to any other era of music, even if I'm listening to Laffy Taffy on some AL, type shit. You can hear the hit in it. Like if you listen to Houdini, Friends, or Freaks Come Out at Night, you ain't even gotta be a person to know. But when you listen and hear, you like, this had to have been a hit back then. Like this had to have been getting played everywhere. Like you walking past the beat, they probably was boomboxing that joint. Like this was at the party. Like people was driving past, they was blast. They had to been black because it sound like the pinnacle of like feel good music. It's feel good
yeah.
to a lot of people, but like it seemed like 80s and 70s is definitely, and kind of my music as it progressed, even at the beginning, people kind of tell me like feel good music type shit. So I feel like I'm just like revisiting some I probably never really took the time to like sit with. And then I'm at a level of mastery where I'm at now, and it kind of like was at the right time.
Yeah. And yeah, it's kind of like a reinterpretation of that kind of sound and that feeling, but like in a rap context, in kind of like yeah, and especially because like the way you do it too, it's like you're not rapping like the even if people who like, let's say an 80s golden age rapper would try to use these kind of sounds, which I know obviously they did. They were rapping in that style, in that vein. Like the way you rap is just it is a product of today in the sense that it's just fucking on some weird chameleon shit. And I think it just like combines really cool. Like it's just really fresh. That's all I can really say.
I appreciate that. I definitely took heed of that too when I was splashing on them jumps. I was like, I can't rhyme like them. It's like if I rhyme like them, I only could probably do it for about like 1 or 2 lines or something like that. So I was like, I gotta be the hybrid, like cyborg version of like the rebuild of the origins of the original.
Mm-hmm.
So
And one thing I was like thinking about when I listened to this album is, and I think you kind of kind of addressed it without me asking, is that do you feel like you needed to kind of make like have like all of this like decades plus worth of like work to like refine your craft to end up making an album like this? Or do you feel like you could have tried to make this and succeeded like in 2013? Because the way you said it is like you kind of like got to that grandmaster level to where you could just start fucking around with your style even more, and it led to something like this.
yeah, I honestly could say, shit. Because I get on any type of beat. I even get on catchy beats and all that. Like, and I can still be myself. Me and Wi-Fi got dropping something this year. Like it's half and half album, kind of like on that type of time. But it's hard to answer that question. Only thing I can kind of like fall into line with is it probably was meant to be. Like it probably took this much time of life to experience, music to listen to, um, understanding how things is created, understanding the science behind like all those things. And then I probably was able to splash how I was splashing, because back then I probably wouldn't have, I probably would have tried to do it, but I probably wouldn't be able to do it like how I do it now. Yeah, because I think learning how to breathe through songs the first year and knowing what I sound good on, after some time go jumping on different stuff and trying, oh no, I don't sound good on that, and then I sound good on this, and then going from different sounds and being good at freestyling so I could see what I could, dance around on. Eventually visiting this where it's like, okay, I know I represent this, but I know I sound refreshing, but I'm also a person that think ahead. So like I'm a product of past, present, and future, because I'll be on some cyborg shit too. So I'm like, okay, if we in some digital time shit, and this what we going into, I mean, the sounds might sound old, but they also sound futuristic too, because them people was wearing Cyclops looking glasses and shit. They was talking about this shit.
Yeah.
20 years, shit. You watch cyberpunk anime, all they predicted all this shit. So I was like, okay, the sounds already sound like this robotic type shit. So I'm like, it won't hurt if I just get this flashing on this shit and then make sure these visuals look just just at the same caliber and how the
Yeah.
music sounds. And we might could bubble up something new, a nice situation.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
And speaking of splashing, the other really like one of the many collaborative albums that you've put out in 2021 alone, Splash Bandicoot, produced entirely by Al.divino. Firstly, love that fucking album title and album cover. Just like that was a whose idea was that? Was that yours? Was that Divino's?
That was that was his that was his idea. I think we both was sitting around like Splash Bandicoot. We was trying to think of some shit. And we said like, nah, let's call this shit Splash Bandicoot, right? And he's
Yeah.
like, you already kind of be like on some Tourette syndrome with your styles and shit.
It
So he's like, I mean, it only makes sense. And then
does.
they known for splashing, so it's like that's letting it be known that I got around their essence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then connected on that, and then that's what y'all got right there.
Man, Crash Bandicoot had a good year. Fucking that Z Loopers track that sampled the Crash Bandicoot one. Did you hear that? I forget the name of it, but it was like on the what was that? The Van Gogh's album. That was super good.
Oh yeah, nah, that joint was crazy.
Crazy, crazy.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
but more importantly, the album just sounds really great. It's probably like if I had to point, like that's like the nutty, the crazy, wild, like especially with this like the flows and the kind of beats that Divino was giving you. It's like a real trip.
Yeah.
And so like what what about Divino's production style do you find is so special and like a good fit for you?
Um, it sound new. It sound new, futuristic. Um, and that's kind of like I'll be like intrigued by. Even when I look for stuff, I kind of be trying to look for that because I'm like, okay, a lot of people gonna bounce back to like, oh, if you able to story tell or you able to rhyme in a certain type of pattern of type shit, they're gonna bring up essence of golden era and all them type of things. So like to kind of like make sure they don't just throw you all the way up in there and ain't nothing else. It's like, okay, no, you need to know that they're a student of music and they listen to the eras of music. But when you listen to their production or even how they flow, they recreated or morphed into some new hybrid version of some shit. Like,
Mm.
how you see an old classic car and they come out with a new version of that classic car. It's like we not trying like I like pulling up in the old shit, but it's
Yeah.
like if I'm about to make my music at this point, at the beginning, I get it. When you a student and you new to something, you try to literally emulate and like
Yeah,
mimic.
it's one of the first stages of creativity is emulation. Like that's just like you gotta
Yeah,
copy to get to figure out how to do this.
type shit. But like after you get your little groove on and all that, it's like, okay, what do you want people to explain or how do you want your shit to be when people hear or look type shit? So I kind of sit with that, and then for him, I just feel like it just sounds so new. It's like he created a new situation for this type of shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's kind of how I look at it. It's like an aircraft version of like a car that came out 40 years ago.
Mm.
So we know like, oh no, they known for building tight ass shit. Like I knew since my people did, but then this motherfucker come up, this shit flying and doing all this weird shit. And it's like, we know it came from the essence of that shit, but this some more other shit.
Yeah.
And that's what I dissect when I heard him and the people from his camp and like me sitting back, think about my shit and like let me go back and drawing board, kind of figure out how I want my shit to be sounding and shit like that. Cause I mean, when we get on soulful loops, find the right little 2-bar loops to do, and ain't nothing wrong with that. But it's like, okay, what else are you gonna do? Like, how you about to have your shit really sounding? Cause I mean, that'd be like the hardest part. Some people stick to the same subject matter, or I mean, they stay consistent with it, but they say different words, but it be same subject matter, or the beats be sounding repetitive, and then you kind of get bored or something, or get like fatigueness of listening throughout the
Mm-hmm.
project. But if you can keep a refreshing thing, it's like you winning.
Yeah. Yeah, and
And
like yeah, like Davino's production style is just like even like even like fundamentally like if I think of like some of these beats just on Splash Bandicoot, like the drums, they just sound like breaking the rules is what I'd put. Like it's just breaking a lot of
it,
fucking
like,
rules. Like
it's like, is this shit even on beat, bro? Like
yeah.
it took me some time listening to that shit. I'm like, what the hell? And I was like, oh no. After some time, I'm like, oh no, this shit is fire. And then I'm listening a little more of their shit. I'm like, oh no, they even created a whole shit. You know what I'm saying? Then he reached out to me. He was like, you come out of Boston and shit. And it was like a mutual respect thing. Cause it was like, I respect your style, and then you respect my style, and you see that I could make something with y'all cause my shit so bizarre, and you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
charismatic and shit like that. So it was like he already knew, you know what I'm saying, and he already threw pointers in my ear like time before that, like yeah, beats like you know what I'm saying, jump out there type shit, like try like make some big wild ass shit, create some new shit, so it was just like we made that shit fast too. It was like a week or something, a week and a half or something like that. Yeah, so
Yeah,
hell
like it sounds like rapping like your performance on those beats. It sounds like you're like rapping on like all Madden. Like you like that's the difficulty level. Like that's like truly is like some of those beats like I'm like I don't know how you would ever approach
even did
this. Like it's what are you
years
even
ago. I
seeing?
probably wouldn't have did it. I wouldn't have did it years ago. I wouldn't have, because it
Yeah.
sounds too. Hearing his stuff and hearing the beats from the one he did for me years ago, no. But
Mm,
now it's like, yeah, I'm with the shits now.
yeah.
I actually love it. I like hearing weird shit. I feel like I'm that good. I get on regular shit and make it sound. I know how to make it sound like okay. This I can make it sound easy listening, like
Hmm.
with words and all that. And I got to a point where I could do that and get on those beats and do the same exact thing, or go like you say, all Madden combo, like just
Yeah.
like, oh wait, whoa, I thought he was done. No, like, huh? Like this.
Yeah, and there's such nuance too in like how you do it because it's like you're rapping. It's not like as simple as you're rapping fast. Like that's such a fake. That's such a what do you call it? Like simplistic way of looking at it. You're rapping fast at time,
Anybody
but it's
rap
like
fast?
the breath control. Like it's really easy to understand what you're saying. Like it's not difficult to like parse out the words because of the skill level. Like you
Mm-hmm.
find ways to say to emphasize certain pieces of a bar. Like yeah, Matt, like huge props for you on that. Like
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
no, I was gonna say like it's also good because like if someone's maybe like that's not their cup of tea, like you have like five other projects that you put out last year that are different that people could maybe get more into. Like you got something for a lot of different kinds of people while staying true to yourself.
Yeah, facts, facts. Hell yeah.
And like I want to talk now about your latest project. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this, but Dogon Sirius. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dogon Sirius. Really like that project. Really good. Another
Thank
like just following up the momentum. And one part I want to get into particular, and this is kind of like just out of morbid curiosity, even well, not morbid curiosity. I'm just curious. This is produced probably like 90% by axpuzzles,
you.
and
Mm-hmm.
you've worked with him countless times, including on one of your 2021 releases, Nine Diagrams. He produced the full thing. Um, I find this interesting because I actually was trying to like do some research and like I can't find any information other than his Bandcamp page, which like I'll be straight up. I'll be straight up. I actually thought he may be you. Like this may be a producer moniker, and I'm like I didn't know. But then I saw his like Bandcamp, and it has like UAE, so I think he's from like the Emirates. So I was like, guess it's a different person. It seems like this is a real like. But I was like, I don't know. And yeah, so anyways, I'm just curious about like how did you even like link up with this guy? Because he has produced like I see a few credits on other artists stuff, which made me think, okay, it's probably a different person. But he mainly seems to be getting a lot of work with you. So like, how'd you link up with him, and kind of like why do you like what he does so much and like working with him?
um, I seen somebody tweet something, a lot of people like tweet or retweet or like type of thing. And then I seen a video of a guy on the ones and twos with a projector behind him and a hoodie on some like Grim Reaper Spawn type shit. And just, like bobbing his head, and I clicked the sound up, turn up, trying to see what he bobbing to. Was already seen visually. I'm like, wait, what is going on here? And I'm hearing the beats. I'm like, oh hell no, 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 no. So I DM him and all that. Start reaching out to him. He don't work with everybody. He has to like your music. Um, it don't even be about money and none of that. He wanted to get money from his beats, but he also really care about who is getting on his beats.
Nah, I respect
So
that.
that's why it's hard to get in contact with him and all that type of stuff. We actually dropping something new on NFT called Cyber City 2077. But yeah, his beats, one, like the conversation we had earlier about wanting to making sure the sound is sounding new, even that way they know it's the essence of, but it sounds new.
Mm.
And so when I found him, I needed him because it was like, okay, if I'm about to go this route, as I tell my other in-house people, we're gonna still make what we make, and I kind of don't want to tell them what to make. So it's like y'all can make something naturally to what my likings, and when I tell you what I like in the moment, but still make whatever the fuck you make, because I don't want you doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
Then with him, it was like he already was making in the time what I was looking for. So it was like all I had is he either sent me a whole folder of shit I already needed, or I'd be like, honestly, I like this shit, weird shit, but I'm tapping into some 80s shit right now. And with him is he already was filtering his beats to sound dusty. So when it don't sound like a video game arcade sounds, he'll make an 80s beat and put the dusty filter over it and shit like that. So it make me want to get on it even more. Because it's
Mm.
like I understand clean sound and all that. If it's a very high caliber project and corporations is backing it and you wanting it to get on like video games and TV shows and all that, then that's a project that need to be crisp. But like if
Mm.
it ain't something for that, I am the guy that be like, give me the dustiest, like give me the dustiest microphone, telephone effect sounding like
Mm.
some people might be like, bro, I like this project, but the mixing is like I was tell you, like I did it on purpose. The type shit where it was
Yeah.
like, yeah, he was giving me that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his
So
style
that
fits you. It really fits you. Like, yeah, because
yeah,
he kind of like seems to like be pulling from the kind of sounds that you like. But yeah, it's all in that like dusty, grainy, colorful kind of vibe that I like. And I think
yeah.
obviously you like. Um, and I'm curious, like you say, like I just in generally with like Axe and with other producers that you work with, like how involved are you in terms of because you mentioned like you don't really want to get too involved with like telling them what to do, but like how involved are you with the the way your albums sound? Like, do you kind of tell them like, hey, I'm looking like with Ohbliv, like I'm looking for this kind of disco like dancey 80s shit or like the fly metaphysics. I'm looking for something a lot more like kind of hard and like I don't know what the word would be, like introspective sounding. Like how involved are you in kind of like instructing them?
Um, I definitely throw out the concept. Um, some of them I tell them concept before the music, and then we make the music. Then the beats get sent after I tell them. So like DJ Mastermind, a good friend of mine. So like how I say all the stuff that I'm into, he's into the same thing. So when we ain't talking about music, we talking about cars. We talking about cyborg,
Mm,
AR, artificial intelligence, war, aliens, ancient history, all that type of shit. So we'll already be kind of like masterminding before the beats is getting made. Like, yo, we texting each other, laughing at shit. Oh, you see this clips of people recording alien aircrafts and shit. You know, you like that one fake, but that one real type shit. So it's like
mm,
already formulating before and then we get on the phone like, yo, we probably should make a joint like blah blah blah, package it up like this. I can't give details of packaging, how we gonna package it, but you get what I'm saying.
mm,
But usually it go like that, and then axpuzzles the same thing. We would be sending each other. I send people freaking all the lists of anime movies, or any gotta be anime, a Pacific movie, sending them stuff so they on the same type time I'm on. So when I explain things, they won't be foreign, or they already got an idea of what I'm talking about. And then I tell them what sound I'm trying to go for, or I
Mm,
just be like, it's the concept, and they kind of be already knowing based off the concept. Okay, I'm gonna either make these beats sound like that. I'm gonna put skits before the beats, so he might not even need to do a skit because I'm gonna just put skits on every beat at the
mm,
beginning or the end. So they kind of be like helping me on some like Dr. Robotnik weird shit. Um, so that's really the most. That's why I be like, well, I'm gonna let you do you after I tell them two things, or we already bouncing ideas before the beats made. That's when I kind of like fall back. So I be feeling like, well, we already been kind of like bouncing ideas like Professor
yeah.
X on some like telepathy shit. It's like I don't even think I really should say anything until I see what they send back after we exchange thoughts type shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's really important for you too to like just be really with like working with like-minded people, like people that already
It's
kind
way,
of have similar interests.
it's way easier with them, with managers, with anybody, because you notice y'all getting conversations where you would notice that it ain't. It's like either they got the idea of what's going on, but it's like I don't think they understand all the way.
Yeah.
So it's like, that shit definitely flows when it's like I'm working with a joint with Sadu right now. We working on two different joints.
Oh
And
shit.
yeah, yep. I've been wanting to work with Sadu Go for a minute, and we finally send him shit. We do the same shit. I get Game Boy Switch. He telling me what games to buy. I go buy a bunch of games. We texting each other movies and shit. Well, I tell him, okay, with this project, I think we should do this, this, this. I've been playing this game. I think the concept should be every few songs they hear this. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Or I send something like, yeah, I like this one. I don't know about that one or something. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Some real chemist type shit.
Yeah. And you're talking about upcoming projects here, and 2022 kicked off with Dogon Sirius. So, what other things should people expect from you by year end?
Probably like two, three more, maybe. Um, One is gonna probably have a really good rollout because it's with Bad Taste Records. And the other ones I'm gonna just like wing it like how I usually do. Like I'm gonna reach out to brands or corporations and stuff, but like I don't like if they I don't like waiting around too long. So if I don't get like responses in the time frame that I want, then I'll just muscle it myself how I usually do.
Mm,
But I'm gonna try to like reach out and be more strategic because I know a lot of this stuff do deserve better rollouts. So a lot of stuff when I finish it, I'll be wanting to envision, or while I'm making it, kind of envision like, okay, where am I pitching this, or who I think I could. That way, when we do the rollout, it's like more, it got extra like,
yeah.
on it. Yeah,
And it seems like you've been putting more emphasis on those kind of like businessy, I guess you could say, business decisions. Because I know you've been filming a lot of. You filmed a video that was off of Nine Diagrams, right? Recently.
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
you got
yeah,
something else coming out. I saw on like your story. Like it seems like and those are records are not your absolute latest records. So I find that interesting.
yeah. I got really like I said, man, I got a lot of good music, man. I wish I could do a lot more visuals for it, but I know at this age, 32-year-old, and life responsibilities and money and all that stuff, it would be hard to try to capture all the ones I want to do. So it just been like as of lately, anything I could catch up back to, I just get back to it. So like the song off Non Diagrams that I shot the other day, I always wanted to do a video for it, but
Mm,
I knew that Love Life was the best song on that project. So I was just like, if anything, I need to just do a video for Love Life. And I did the one for Mr. Good Looking. Cause I was like, I mean, I'm in California and this song definitely sound like
mm,
go ahead and drive by the sand real quick and let me put this Sergio Zaccini sweatsuit on. We gonna do this.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
yeah.
it was like that's why that went like how it went. But they Think About You was the beginning, definitely the beginning of how we've been talking about for the past 30 minutes about that 80s shit.
Yeah.
Cause that was like when I finished recording, I was like, oh nah, I could harmonize and sweat. This shit sound good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I kept that shit going, but that shit definitely need a video. That's why I was like, let me get back to this shit. Cause now I was like, I got my money and shit together. You know how that shit be. You gotta get the girl, you gotta get the studio, you gotta get the video before you got everybody not gonna do the freebies and or give you the little cheap price joints. Those cool too, but like sometimes you gotta like just you gotta invest in yourself type shit.
Yeah.
Man, it ain't no cutting no corners. Now I used to feel a certain way when I at the beginning, but now I understand like shit do cost of quality type shit, and like the things that we really like, we don't question pricing. We just buy or we save, and we be so determined to save that amount and do it when we want that caliber of shit. So like
Yeah.
that's just how this shit go. You know what I'm saying? You might gotta sit down for a minute. Like I ain't shoot visuals in a minute, but as you can see, it's like, oh, now it look like, dang, he's shooting shit since December. It looked like he been shooting like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
I had to wait for the right time because, like, just as real human as everybody else. I ain't rich. This shit crazy. The COVID shit, all that. I don't like working type shit. I like doing what I want to do. So it's like, shit, I'm winging it just like everybody else. But I know that I gotta give it to y'all in the proper way. I can't be not giving y'all visuals or making visuals better than before type shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, this the time to don't be just buying little shit to be having fun with, invest into the craft and shit. So when people go get these experiences, when they listen to some shit, they got some shit to watch and some shit to watch that's actually good.
Yeah, that's actually really
You know
good. Yeah, like that snippet I saw, I was like, that looks some real exquisite shit. Like I'm excited to see that. Yeah, and especially you release a lot of music, so like you're very prolific. So there's especially not even if you weren't and you just released like one, maybe two projects a year, like there's so much music that comes out from like everybody. So it should become more common for people to kind of like keep promoting an album that came out like 2 years ago. Like why not? Like it takes a long time for people to like hit click and hit play on something, and there's no real harm in doing that. Obviously you have to be realistic about how much money and time you can spend and all that, but I mean, I think I like the approach you're taking.
Yeah, no, videos is very important. I feel like I just did a joint, shoot, a month or two, well, it was like a month ago with my man Mark, Top Shelf Premium. He shot he got a whole crew to shoot what song we did? That's how I know I got too much music. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. That joint, that is that joint a good budget joint. I'm just say that. It's drone cameras from the sky down, location. That joint. I can't wait to see that joint. No, you're gonna see news from me this year. I'm gonna let you know that for a fact.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm really looking forward to it. And just generally, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really great to meet you, and I hope anybody who's listening just checks out your music, checks out all that you do, because it's just like top tier, man, for real.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, man. Take care. Talk to you soon.
All right, man. Thank you. Be safe, bro.
Yeah. Peace out.
All right, peace.
So there we have it, another episode of the Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV. I hope this episode gave you some new perspectives and insights into what the greatest art form known to man in hip-hop music has to offer. If you want to support the show in the most meaningful way possible, it would be my absolute honor to have you as a patron in the new Rap Music Plug podcast Patreon. Through this Patreon, you will be getting exclusive content such as bonus episodes, exclusive album recommendations, exclusive playlists, early access to episodes, and more. And above all, though, you will be able to support the show directly in a way that will not only justify the crazy amount of time I spend on this show already, but allow me to cover some of the expenses related to supporting all of these great artists that we cover on the show through the website, and will allow us to sustain and build on this amazing growth that the RMPP has experienced recently. Big shout out to Dano of Free Music Empire, Levy, Mahima, Jeff, Fatman Tomb, and Khalid for your generous support through the Patreon. I really appreciate it. So if you have any questions about any of the Patreon stuff, or just want to keep tabs on the show, interact with me on rap music and all the great stuff that we can talk about, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at rapmusicplugpod, or shoot me an email at qlctv.podcast@gmail.com. You can also rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify as well. But that's enough self-promotion for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.